had just finally made my first million in business. And the mentor that I most wanted to impress was there to see it. And he pulls me aside and tells me the truth that I was not ready to hear. I'm Liz Hartke, and what if the success you're chasing is not the finish line? I've got a story for you. All right, so let's go back to 2015. I have finally hit the metric that I'd been pushing for, hitting my first million in a year in my business. And the mentor that had been alongside me from the jump when I was grinding to, bring my first nickel in the door was coming out to New Hampshire, where I was hosting a big mastermind for about 25 clients, lakeside, Lake Winnipesaukee, in a beautiful mansion we had rented. And I was so excited to just have him there, just to see all that we had accomplished. And it felt like a big year for me because it was the year I had my first child, our son, and the year where the business was finally booming after just what felt like an absolute grind leading up to that point. So we're at this event, and we're doing all these incredible things with these leaders that we've brought in from all over the world coming in for this mastermind experience. And we had just done paddleboard yoga, aka swimming. I was basically in the drink the entire time. And we break away. Everyone comes into the house. And my mentor says, "Hey, Liz, can I talk to you for a second? I want to tell you something." I'm like, "Oh, great. This is the moment. This is the moment where he pats me on the back and he validates all I've done and all the work I've put in." I was so excited to just share in this experience with them and hear his honest thoughts of how far I'd come. So we break away for a few minutes. We're sitting out on the deck overlooking the mountains and the beautiful lake. And I could tell he's just like almost nervous, which isn't his normal stature. And he says, "Can I be honest with you for a minute?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And I'm thinking, oh, he's nervous to tell me how proud he is of me. How very wrong I was. I had no idea that he was about to drop the ultimate bomb on my ego. And he looks me dead in the eye and he says, "Liz, you are drastically underperforming your potential." I could not believe it because I had thought in those moments leading up to it, like, this is the moment that he's going to see it all and see how far I've come. And once I calmed the inner pepperina in me, the fiery Italian that just wanted to defend and fight back and tell him all the things that I'd done and how hard I'd worked, I thankfully found my composure enough to ask the question that I needed to ask to learn and hear more about what I needed to understand about myself and why he was saying that. And I said, "Okay, tell me more." And that's when he asked me, "Liz, are you happy? Do you feel satisfied? Because I'm looking at you and I know you. Like I knew you before you had ever made any money and before you had ever checked any of the boxes. And you were so grounded and full of joy and clear on your values. But to get to this point, just to be able to say that you've made this much money, what have you sacrificed to get here?" That was one of the most humbling experiences of my life because I had thought I had done all the things right, but he was so spot on. I was more stressed than I'd ever been. I was disconnected. He could see that I was just like argumentative with my husband and I was disconnected from our son. And he knew my dream was to be a mom because I was so focused on those outcomes that I had lost sight of who I was called to be on the journey there. Ever since that day, I've had, a mantra, or just something that I say to myself to keep me grounded and to not careen off another cliff in pursuit of this elusive success that I thought I wanted so badly. And it's just this. It's how you build the thing is as important as the thing you build. Meaning the pursuit matters, right? Who you are in the process of getting to where you think you want to go matters. It actually matters more than the outcomes. And that's helped me now. I have been anything but perfect in my pursuits, right? I've been anything but staying on that track perfectly for the last decade plus. But what I have now is an anchor to come back to. And this reminder of, wait, am I sacrificing who I know I'm called to be to get this thing or hit this number or say that I've accomplished this level in business? Because I felt like I was performing that day at the lake in front of all those entrepreneurs, presenting as this successful, almost 30-something-year-old who had finally done the things that a lot of them were seeking to do, when inside, I knew I was living completely out of congruence with what mattered most to me, right? With all the values that I was so blessed to have instilled in me from my family, and the choices that my husband and I had made, and what we said mattered and what we wanted to pursue, all just to perform, to hit a number, to be able to say, hey, look, I did it. Am I something now? Do I matter now? And had lost sight of all the things that I knew mattered most. I've had the privilege to come alongside a lot of really successful entrepreneurs over the years, people who you probably know their name and you admire them from afar. But I usually meet them at this inflection point where they too have the success, right? They've done the thing that they're out to accomplish, but they're feeling that void of like, is this really what it's for? And a lot of times in the conversations that we have behind the scenes, when we pull back the curtain and they're willing to kind of let their ego get out of the driver's seat and be honest with where they're at, they share this heart for why they started in the first place. We start with those good intentions, right? Like we really are doing this for our family. We really are trying to create more freedom in our lives so that we can be more present with the people we love. But somewhere along the way, we get a little off track because we are driven by those metrics and we're driven by those KPIs and those numbers that we want to hit and those goals that we think once we hit this thing, then fill in the blank, then I'll feel significant, then I'll finally have made it, then I'll actually have the money to pour into the people that I love, then I'll have the time to be more present with my family. But all the way in that process, we're slowly chipping away at who we're really called to be without seeing it. And that was my story. That was me. And I can resonate so much with so many of my clients that have that struggle. And a big tipping point for them is having those tough conversations. That mentor in my life, he loved me enough to tell me the hard thing, to tell me the truth. When so many other people were just celebrating me and cheering me on and saying, yeah, great job, you're doing it. He was looking me dead in the eye and saying, this isn't who you are. This isn't who you're called to be. There's so much more in you. And it's not about the numbers that you can produce, Liz. It's about how you're pouring into others and how you're showing up well for your family in the moment, not someday in the future when you have more time or money or capacity. So if you're in a place like that, like I was, and you're saying, I'm doing this for my family, and you have all these values you pay lip service to that you say matter, but what you're doing, those people, right, those relationships, those values end up being collateral damage on the way there, you might want to ask yourself, is it time for a little introspection and a pivot to really realign with who you're meant to be and who you're called to be in this moment? So often we just kind of get trucking and we have that good intention to start, but then it devolves as we come into the reality of running a business or the reality of chasing a dream. But for me, I had to humble myself enough to say, man, if I'm hitting these numbers and doing these things I say I want to do, and it's coming at the expense of what I say matters most, I'm not really winning. What I've found over the years is that good mentors, like the ones that really make the greatest impact in your life holistically, not just in this little corner of your life in your business, they're the ones that help you see those blind spots and help draw out of you that potential and that calling. When he told me you're underperforming your potential, it's because he could see that potential in me and he wanted to help me cultivate it. This is something that I do all the time for incredible, ambitious entrepreneurs like you. So if you're seeking someone who can help do that in you and really pull out the best of you and help you break through those upper limit ceilings and stay in congruence with the values you hold dear and to show up well for your family as you build the dream for the family, truly, check out the description below and I will walk you through all of that. Let's have a conversation. But in all things, the key piece is ensure that you are keeping true to who you're called to be as you pursue all you're called to do.